Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Neo with the first and long-awaited analysis of Terranar Stand LV. That is the new Terranar Stand version made by Blizzard, by Matt Morris to be precise. Matt Morris is, or was, the lead designer for StarCraft 2 levels, and has also been part of the project of Warcraft 3. So after 15 years, Matt Morris is back to Warcraft and is designing the new maps, or I should rather say, is updating the maps to a new standard. Let's see if it's upgrading or updating, because new is not always good, but I think some things will get us excited. I updated Liquipedia, so we have this now. On the left side, you see the old Terranar Stand. On the right side, you see the new Terranar Stand, which is called Terranar Stand LV. And the first thing that jumps the eye is that the starting positions have been moved. Before, it was here. Wait a second. Before, it was here at the 10 o'clock position. Now, it's in the corner. I think that's a good move. There's more distance between the two bases, which makes the map a lot bigger. At least that's how I felt. And you just have one direction, out of the base, towards your opponent, and that's not the case at the old Terranar Stand, because you could always go like back towards the laboratory, then creep the lane. Now it's always towards your opponent, which is a good thing in my opinion. So that means, of course, that the laboratory and the mercenaries are a little different. As you can see here, the laboratory was in the upper left, right next to the gold mine, which made it a lot easier to get zappers, speed scroll zappers on Terranar Stand, a big thing and super dangerous because you can't really scout it. Zeppelin drops also, if it's undetected, very, very hard to defend, and shredders were very easy to obtain. The new laboratory is here at the 9 o'clock position. That means all the things that I mentioned before will be acquirable a lot later. I think the distance from the laboratory to the main base is way too big for zappers now. Maybe towards the expansion it's still working, but towards the main base I'm not too sure. It's too long. Zeppelins, yeah, will be later available in the game, which can be good, can be bad. I think it's neutral. Races who expand might have a little disadvantage here because they need the shredder for lumber. Otherwise, they have to invest more into peasants, wisps, peons, whatever. That might be a little nerve to them, but I think that's not the most important thing. As you see, where the laboratory is now, before was a mercenary camp, that has moved basically to the old starting position here. It's still the same mercenary camp with the Shadow Priest, the Troll Berserker, and Mauler and Mud Golem. So the Troll Twins and M&M still available there. And we will come back later to the mercenary camp because I want to open up with expansion possibilities and therefore gold mines. Oh, we have one small change as well. The 3 apprentices that were formerly found in the upper left are now next to the mercenary camp, a little more central on the map, but apart from that, no big change to them. So, expansions. This is of course what every human and every night elf and everybody who's playing against those races will ask: how easy is it to expand? Let's start with the natural first. Of course, the position stays the same. You can see the creeps here. 1 renegade, 2 enforcers, 2 brigands. It's not a special creep spot at all. You had lightning shield there, you had purge there, but apart from that, just damage and creeps who soak up damage. And you got the level 4 permanent item for that. Not too imbalanced, I think, even in the early stages. Plus a Tomb of Experience, that is of course great. On the new TS, we still have the Renegade Wizard. Now we have 2 Assassins and 2 Rogues. This means Assassins have poison damage, which is always great against humans. So there will be poison damage on the Militia and the Footman, which is guaranteed damage because you can't dispel it or anything. I think it should be possible when it's night or so to surround the 2 Assassins with 1 group of Militia, 1 group of Footmen, and kill them off very early on. But it's still going to be 4 units affected from that. That is very hard for humans. The item is a different one as well, by the way. Can give a Book of the Dead. I will go into that later, why that is important. So I think the natural, slightly harder, but not undoable, which leads us to the corner expansions. Before, we had an assassin, we had 2 bandits, we had 2 apprentice wizards. Super easy to creep. It was far away from the main base, but it was super easy to creep and therefore almost a guaranteed expansion. Say hello to the new corner expansion. 3 freaking assassins, 2 bandits. That means 3 times poison damage, and they will hit at least 2 to 3 times, which will lead to 6 or 9 poisoned units. That is incredibly hard. I think for Night Elves it's not that big of a deal because of course the Engine of War cannot be affected by poison, and that's what will tank everything. But for humans this is a disastrous spot. Plus, since the gold mines have been changed, the distance is a lot longer. You see, on the old version you could walk straight to it. On the new version there's a forest in between, and the distance in general is longer. So expanding for humans, nerfed for sure. So let's talk about the Blade Master. The second question that everybody asks is, how is the item situation for the Blade Master? And we saw the corner expansion. Before it was a claw, and we all know that, for example, Focus and Fly, they rush towards this spot, creep the assassin, take the item, and go harassing. Now this will be harder, but the reward is so much bigger. Claws +9 now, boots, Ring of Regeneration, those are all great items for harassment. And we saw it in the show match already from Fly that he's capable of doing so, and I think this can even be expanded. So this is a danger, I think, an item that is accessible way too early. But the Murlocs close to it before dropped the tome, a level 1 tome. Now the new Murlocs, which is still the same creep spot but with a new drop, it's a level 2 tome. That means it's possible to find a Tome of Experience. So in a perfect world, you creep this, you get a Tome of Experience, you're easy level 2. You creep this, you get Claws +9. So with that level up, you should be able to do the little gnolls here, or the kobolds as well. The kobolds basically stay the same, it's just 1 kobold more now, but the item drop has changed from a level 1 permanent to a level 2 permanent, which gives claws. So if everything goes right, and you're not contested, and you get high damage rolls, and you don't have to regenerate too much, you get a Tome of Experience, Claws +9, and Claws +6. This is level 3 plus 15 damage. That might be a little too sick. I don't know. I tested it myself, and I'm a noob for sure. And you can easily pull off the Murloc and Assassin creep right after each other, which is pretty sick. Another thing in this upper right corner is the wizard camp. Before, Rogue Wizard and 2 apprentices, just a little tome, nobody really took care of it, as they have frost armor as well. So it's not that easy to creep, or not that fast to creep. Now, this might be a little more interesting, because the drop has changed from this tome to a level 2 charged item, which means Watcher Wards, Replenishment Potion, Step of Illusion, or Lightning Shield. And especially Lightning Shield can be such a key if humans are forced to expand here now. With an undead, or as an undead, you creep this, hope for a Lightning Shield, drop into the human base, use that Lightning Shield, and kill peasants who are already hurt because of the poison. I think that's a big danger, and Lightning Shield could be too powerful at this spot. That's just my assumption. As we are in the northern half of this map, the shop remained completely the same, item drops the same, creeps the same, no difference at all, just to mention it once. So, the old mercenary camp was a Taskmaster, 2 Geomancers, and a Golem. That means a hell of a lot of slow, big item as a reward though, big consumable, and a level 1 tome, which is not that important, but usually everybody wanted to have this mercenary crap very soon to get the big mana, big invul, etc. Now it's a laboratory. Oh wait, the There we go. Now it's the same reward here at the Merc Camp. It's easier to access and easier to creep. So it's still a Renegade Wizard, this time accompanied by a Rogue Wizard, which will cast Lightning Shield, so it's a little slower, but Rogue as well. This should be very easy to creep, and this will help humans defend their expansions with Shadow Priest, heal their hurt units up with Shadow Priest, and protect it with Berserkers, so that's good. And a big item accessible early on as well. The laboratory spot is basically what was the old mercenary camp spot, but oh wait a second, this one here just showed it. It's a lot stronger now. The item drop it's a permanent, but it's not that hard to creep anymore. The mud golems are gone, they are replaced by a tunneler. So it's just 2 times slow, and the Taskmaster, which is kind of hard to creep as he's so tanky and has an aura. But yeah. The item here basically moved from the natural to the laboratory, and I think this is a very good spot. Can't get a ton of experience, but it's definitely fair. So there's only one thing that we've missed, and that is the middle. Geomancer and Kobold, a tome as a reward. Pfft, absolutely ridiculous. Nobody even crept it. Even though when you're standing at the tavern and just waited a bit, nobody crept it. This will change dramatically. Dark Wizard, 2 Assassins, and a level 3 charged item on both of the spots. This is A, a lot of experience. B, not that hard to creep, I think. The Dark Wizard has Polymorph, but it just polymorphs 1 unit, so I don't know. And you get a big mana as a reward, big invul, etc, etc. This can change games, especially if one player gets both of the spots, because of course this is mirrored and it's the same spot. If one player gets both of the spots, I think he basically wins the game. Depends on the matchup, I guess. So if there's a race that dominates the spot the entire time, and I think it's gonna be Orc, then we have a balance problem. Because I think this is too hard to creep with Militia because it's way too far away from the main base. And there are 2 Assassins. So Militia creep, not really possible. Engine of War creep, possible, but I wonder where Night Elves will start. Maybe they start at the Mercenary camp here and then move over, or they start at the Natural and then move over. Still, it's a long way for the Engine of War. I don't know if they will do it. Undead have Fiends and Decay Coil. Might be able to snipe them, but I'm not too sure. At the early stages of Tier 2, usually the Lich is not an offensive addition, but a defensive one with Frost Armor. Well, against human, it would be Nova, but yeah, maybe you can snipe it. But I think this will be the time for Orcs to shine. As at the beginning of Tier 2, they have almost level 3 Blade Master with, if they did this creep route, with a great inventory possibly. You have Hex, so you can Hex the Dark Wizard, take care of the Assassins, then kill the Dark Wizard. They have Ensnare, of course, and Spirit Link, so they don't take that much damage. In my opinion, in my head, this gives a huge advantage to Orcs. They just have to be careful to not be creepjacked, and they can get 2 consumables here. That's my biggest concern so far. So, let us recap this a bit. What, in like too long, didn't watch, what's the changes? The spawning position is further away from the expansion, makes expansions harder or delays them. The spawn is closer to the mercenary camp, which and the creep is easier there, so quicker Shadow Priest, quicker Berserkers, which is good for everybody who expands, who is under pressure, or who wants to apply pressure. So early mercenaries, I think, good for Night Elf and Human. And Orcs maybe later, but I don't think that's a big deal. Night Elf and Humans profit from this the most. The spawn is further away from the laboratory. That's a problem. Zap Review is not possible. Zeppelin drops, or quick Zeppelin drops, not possible. And the Shredder support is later, because that creep spot is really hard. And in general, expanding in the corner positions, not possible at all for Human, I think. So they have to go for the natural now. That is, I think, the biggest change. In terms of items, the Blade Master will be happy. There is 10 permanent items now instead of 8, which is always good for them. Charged or consumable items, there are 8 now compared to 4 before, and there are just 6 tomes compared to 12. Terran Stand was a very tome intensive map, but that has changed. So benefiting from those changes, Orc for sure, Undead because they can creep more, Night Elf I'm not so sure. This is definitely a human nerf, absolutely human nerf. Maybe you Night Elves out there can tell me what you think about it, especially where you would go for an Engine of War creep and like creep routes. This will be the most important thing, how the pros will adapt to the new creep routes, and then of course how they will react to the new creep routes. So where will the creep jacks happen, what's the most important spot, and where will the fights happen. I think it's always a great idea to have one spot on the map to fight for that forces combats, just like the shop on Echo Isles. That's a great example for that, because it always leads to like a tug of war who gets the shop. This will be the case for the middle and the 2 consumables. I'm very, very sure this will happen, and that's going to be interesting. So in general, I like the changes. I'm a little worried about the items. So I'm very happy about the creep changes in general. The new map makers seem to be a fan of the assassins and of consumables. So the trends are poison creeps and consumables so far. And lightning shield maybe. And it's good to see the Dark Mage for one of the first times, I think. So that's my conclusion for Terran Stand LV. We will see it unfold after GCS in tournaments. Rumors say there's going to be a PTR on August 4, that is in 2 days. I'm not so sure this will happen, but maybe it is, and then we will all be able to test it and play show matches and ladder, etc. with Terran Stand LV. We have 2 more videos coming for you. It's going to be Plunder Isle LV and Floodplains LV. So looking forward to that. I have to do some research for it. I hope you were happy. Please leave me feedback. What are your ideas on Terran Stand LV? Did I miss something? Tell me about your desired creep routes. What is your race? And how will it benefit or punished for those map changes? This was Neo for Back to Warcraft and Terran Stand LV. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.